Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Whitney, with Dr. Sheri Fluellen. Dr. Sheri, welcome to the show again.
Thank you so much. So excited for the crazy conversation we're going to have today.
Yes, I love the conversation. We're going to talk about turning chaos into control and some mindset hacks around that to build a meaningful business that lets you make the impact you want to make. So today, this is the bottom line, where real stories meet real numbers. Each episode, we bring you real world investing insights, strategies, and stories from our own deals and experiences in the field. At the end of this episode, we'll answer a question from our very own 7FF podcast listeners. All right, like I said, today we're talking about turning chaos into control and some of the mindset stuff that is junk in your head. It's not helping you, it's not serving you, and in some ways to manage that. Sheri, I'm excited. I wanted to talk real quick on the tactical side of this about, this kind of concept of turning chaos into control, but that means something different to everybody. And we're all at different stages in our business. Some people are on chapter 30, some are on chapter 10, some are on chapter 100. They've been doing this for 3 decades, those kind of things. So it looks a little different from everybody, but let's kind of, if you're listening to this, think about where you are in your stage of business. Stage 1, the beginning, the founder hustler mode. This is where you are doing everything, finding deals, managing rehab, selling, raising capital. You don't really have systems. Your revenue's inconsistent, highly dependent on you. This is most common for new investors. You are in stage 1. I call it existence. Stage 2 is survival, the solopreneur plus support. This is where the business is actually bringing in money, but it's not really stable and it's not yet scalable. Usually has 1 to 2 part-time or full-time team members, could be a virtual assistant, and you as the owner are still involved in every decision, every single step. This could be like $400K to even $1 million in revenue this stage, depending on how your structure, systems, process, and people are. Then you get into stage 3. I call this success. This is the owner-led business with a small team, right? This is the company has processes, has KPIs, has at least one other person closing deals, full-time front-end acquisition mechanism, full-time somebody managing the processes. And you still might be reviewing every deal. You still might be leading the team and making a lot of the key hires and deeply involved. And you could be doing $1 million to $3 million in profits. This is a great spot, by the way. Stage 3 is a great spot. It's not none of these are bad or good. This is just the journey, right? And then stage 4 is what we call takeoff stage. That's the CEO focus, team-led business. The business is no longer reliant on the founder for operations. You've hired functional leaders, meaning managers in the sales department and the project management department. And all the departments have a leader, not just a person, but a leader who are capable of making decisions. Your front end deal mechanism, how you get and acquire deals, is like on autopilot. You put something in and something comes out and it's predictable. You have capital available and you're doing a myriad of projects every month. All right. And then stage 5 is maturity. Operational machine or multi-market expansion is what we think about when we think about a mature business. This is like doing $10 to $20 million a year in gross profits. This is a full-fledged team. Business runs with minimal founder input. You are the strategic investor operating in multiple markets or multiple channels and exit strategies, and you're optimizing profit and expanding your whole portfolio and building a big brand. That's stage 5, maturity. And that team size can range really from um, 15 to 40 people. Okay, so like, what is the key? What are the top keys to moving along?
There's just no papers until
top keys to moving along that spectrum. Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, in the early stages, just focus on revenue generating activities, literally just bringing revenue into your business, which will create the stage 2 problem of needing people. Once you introduce people, to go from stage 2 to stage 5 is all about 3 things: systems and process, hiring the right people, and growth as a leader, because your team will only grow to your level of leadership. So to advance, I know there's all kinds of shiny objects out there chasing this strategy and that strategy, but to advance your company from stage 1 to stage 5, it is all about systems and process, people, and leadership development. And that is the evolution of the investor in growing and scaling your company. Now, there are a lot of things that get in the way of that are you and your mindset. And I think that's where Dr. Fluellen can help us to untangle some of those things.
And so many things are there to untangle. The journey of leadership is incredibly challenging. And honestly, I would say it's probably one of the most growing opportunities in life. And I would lump being a parent, being a teacher in any sort of capacity, all of these things really fall under the leadership category. And I want to share and bring to light just one tiny little thing that we can each start doing more of so that we can be a better leader, which is required of us in order to move through these stages of investing. And quite frankly, just so you can be a better human where people want to be around you. Because even if you don't do a lot of real estate investing, even if you stumbled upon this podcast and you're like, I don't real estate invest, you will still want to know this one tiny little strategy, hack, trick, not really a trick, but thing that you can grow in that is going to make you so much more happy and everyone around you to be so much more happy. So let me set the stage. As real estate investors, we're always stepping in or stepping onto the edge of our comfort zone. We're always needing to push ourselves. And we're seeing other people. I'm looking at Adam. I'm looking at Bill. I'm looking at all of these other amazing investors in the community. I'm seeing what they're doing and I'm thinking, I want to do that. And I'm trying to replicate some of this stuff and I'm taking bigger risks. The risk in all of this, though, is that I end up making some decisions that aren't actually in alignment with who I want to be. And the biggest risk in taking all of these risks is that we lose ourselves in the process. And we've all seen this in different people and different journeys of life. We see financial crashes. We see divorces. We see families breaking apart. We see people spiraling into depression. They have lost themselves. And worst case, we see people commit suicide because they have completely lost themselves in the process and in the journey of what they're doing, real estate investing and otherwise. So I want to bring to your awareness one thing that you can start doing that will prevent you from losing yourself. And in the context of leadership, it's the one thing that's going to save your butt when you're having these leadership moments and connecting with the people around you. And it's the skill of shifting from being reactive to being proactive. And this shift for you is going to be a game changer. I promise you. Adam, I would love to know, when I say being reactive, what does that mean to you?
That is like waiting to see what happens, right? Like things are coming at me and I'm reacting to them instead of having a clear plan and being proactive and anticipating the things that I'll have to do or problems I'll have to solve. So for me, it's all about anticipating, and you won't anticipate everything perfectly, but there's a lot of things, especially as you gain experience, that you can anticipate. better and better and be proactive rather than reactive.
Perfect. I love that. One way of being able to conceptualize being reactive is something happens. We'll call that a trigger. Somebody might say something, somebody might do something, but something happens and we react, hence the word reactive. And often our reaction is instantaneous. We have a thought, we have a feeling, something happens super quick. And this is just human. Something happens super quick. We have thoughts and feelings that happen so like in microseconds. And being reactive means that we then act based on that thought or emotion. And it just comes out. We don't really even consciously think about it. It just happens. And so the time between the trigger and our action is like super tiny. Like you can't even tell. I think about, some of the worst moments in my recent history of being reactive. And it's usually around being a mom and having my kids, and they do something over and over and over that annoys me. And then all of a sudden they say the one little thing and I like fly off the handle and they look at me like, what the heck, Mom? Like, and it wasn't just that they said something. It was this accumulation of stuff that I hadn't really paid attention to, but it was accumulating inside of me. It's kind of like a balloon that you're blowing up and it's getting bigger and getting bigger. At some point, some unknown point, it's going to burst. It's going to pop. And that's an extreme example of reactivity. It's our most animalistic trait is how I think about it. It's just us purely reacting, acting to our environment, to what we're thinking and feeling without really giving it thought. So shifting then out of being reactive into being proactive is the word that Adam used. It is simply creating more space and time between the trigger, something happening, and our response to it. And the beauty is that space between that trigger and our choice and how we're going to react, that's where our power lives. That is where we get to make decisions about how we want to respond. And one of the best questions that we can ask ourselves in the middle of that moment between the trigger and our actual response is, how can I respond in a way that is in best alignment with who I want to be? That's a long way of asking, long sentence or a long question. But when we're able to stop, put a little time in there and ask, who do I want to be in this moment? And then react in a way that is in alignment with who we want to be and who we're trying to be, especially as leaders, as parents, as spouses, as real estate investors, as just good humans, good neighbors. This space and our ability to think through how we want to respond is going to be the game changer for you. And I will tell you, I have worked with a lot of people on this over the years as a psychologist and a coach, and it takes a long time to learn this skill. Some people longer than others. I certainly was not born with this skill. And it will take a while.
And practice, right? It takes practice.
Absolutely. And practice. And I will guarantee you this one thing, though. If you practice this, if you really start being aware of how quickly you react to things and start giving yourself a little bit more time and space to be thoughtful, you will notice an increase and improvement in every relationship in your life. It is just going to happen. And if you become better and if you get better at your relationships in your life in general, it's going to trickle down and trickle up into your real estate investing. You are going to start being more thoughtful when you're working with your contractors and not just reacting because they don't get the stuff done when they were supposed to. You're going to start being more thoughtful and intentional when you're working with sellers. Oh, look at that. Adam has a dog right there.
We got the office dog.
Yes. And honestly, animals are like the epitome of being reactive. And so do we want to be like the dog? Or do we want to
Don't
be
be
a
the
human?
dog. Don't be the
Be the
dog.
dog, right? So
Sheri, this makes me think of, there's a lot of like old wives' tales and like sayings and adages that are kind of loose and genuine meaning, but there are a couple that I feel like really tie to this. And one of the things I think many people have heard is God gave you two ears and one mouth for a reason. And you should listen, two times more than you talk, which I think is helpful. And what you're teaching us to do is actually actively listen, process, think about who you want to be in the moment, and then give an appropriate response. And that requires us to slow down a little bit. The other one I can remember my parents saying to me quite often was, you need to think before you talk, which I think is what you're telling us to do. So they weren't wrong.
no, they were not wrong. Surprisingly, amazingly, our parents were not wrong. And yeah, think before we talk. And there's an interesting caveat to that, because so many real estate investors fall into the trap of overthinking. And so my encouragement is, yes, think and become more aware of what's going on in you and what's going on around you. But then also don't get stuck in the over analysis paralysis, even of kind of what's going on inside. And one great way in which you can avoid getting too stuck in your own head is invite somebody in your life into this process. So maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a best friend, whoever it might be. Maybe you're already seeing somebody that's kind of helping you level up in your leadership and in your personal growth. Whoever it is, this can be something that if you get stuck in a moment and you're like, oh, I was so reactive, but I don't know why I was like, I don't get it. Like, what was it? Being able to have somebody that you trust, that knows you, or that can get to know you and kind of help you think through, they can help you uncover what it was that led you to be really reactive in that situation, because awareness is necessary for really intentional change. So inviting somebody into our life to help with that process, super important.
I love this part. I love this segment. It's the inner game. It's what experiences or mindset shifts we need to make as entrepreneurs and business owners to make progress, not to be perfect, but to make progress and towards our goals and in our business. So super impactful. Thank you. Thank you for that part. If it's okay, I think we'll transition to the Ask Us Anything.
So when operating fix and flips across multiple markets, how do you balance operational control with localized contractor relationships, especially in light of fluctuating material costs, permitting timelines, and potential differences in resale velocity across multiple states?
Okay, Dr. Fluellen, when you're operating your fix and flips across multiple markets, which you are, Wyoming, Colorado, Missouri, how do you balance control, operational control, like having everything is going as planned, with your localized contractor relationships, especially with all the variables that you don't control, like fluctuating cost and timelines and resale values and ARVs and all that? How are you guys balancing it?
Oh. What if my answer is that we're not? Is that wrong? Okay, so the first answer that crosses my mind is that we've got a project coordinator that is keeping tracks of the nuts and bolts and exactly where people are and things. We have weekly conversations and pictures of all the properties to hold our contractors accountable to the progress that they're making. And we have group chats with our contractors. So it's the contractor, it's our admin gal, our project manager. Her name is Heather. She's in there. And then my husband and I are in there. So that way, anytime that we have, hey, how's this going? Or what's the status on this? Or the contractor is asking us a question, we're all in at the same time. We're all hearing the same thing. So that's kind of one of the ways that we're trying to keep chaos from happening so that we're all on the same page. But I don't manage all of that. My husband doesn't manage all of that because we have different roles, and I don't have time to do all the project managing if I'm going to be also doing the other roles that I'm doing in our real estate investing. So, so honestly, for me, that's kind of where
that's
we're
powerful
at.
though. That's very powerful. So what I heard, and I think this is fairly common, and I don't think we give ourselves enough credit, is you have systems and process in place in each market, perfect or imperfect, doesn't matter. You set clear expectations, you do a scope of work, you have some contractor agreements on the front end, and then you go into execution on those, and you have off of the expectations, you have a communication and feedback mechanism to ensure our azimuth is correct. Like we are on the right direction when it comes to timeline and budget for our projects. And not just system and process, but I also heard that you have people in place, which is what I talked about in the beginning. You have systems and process, you have people, and your leadership, you and JP's leadership, are developing and growing your company in that kind of way. It's like perfect. Like it doesn't feel perfect because that's business.
No, it does not feel perfect.
You do have all those things in place.
And here's where I screwed up recently is because I thought, this is the first flip with this other contractor. Let me just take the reins on the relationship and accountability and all of that, because I probably should make sure that I've got the system down with this contractor before I pass it off to my assistant. That was entirely the wrong thought process, because it's like I'm totally screwing it up. I totally have not been holding him accountable as Heather has done on the other contractors and the other flips. So this was one of those teaching moments where, I see this all the time and I totally do this. That I'm like, oh, I should do it first. I should get everything figured out and then I'll hand off the baby, rather than having the wet nurse come in at the beginning. Okay, if nobody knows what a wet nurse is, that's going to be a really weird analogy, but rather than handing off the project at the very beginning, because we already have the system in place. So I totally screwed this up just recently, and it's biting me in the butt.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. And just trust your systems, trust your process, trust your people, and trust your leadership. And that's a journey to get to that point. Okay, that's incredible. Let's go to our closing segment, the bottom line. What was your final takeaway for this episode? What's your bottom line for this episode?
My bottom line?
Yeah, like what's your final takeaway?
I'm reflecting. That was a deep sigh, by the way. I'm reflecting on the moments, I think like you just said, the moments where I am in a leadership position and my husband and I are working on growing our business, meaning that our leadership position is not going to get smaller, it's going to get bigger, and really leaning into the foundations that we have already set and trusting the people that we have put in those positions along the way is going to be instrumental in the growth. And there's room for improvement on that on my side. How about for you, Adam?
My final takeaway, yes, I love that. My final takeaway is this idea of being proactive instead of reactive, and the mindset shifts associated with that. And I think, like, who do I want to be in the moment in a response? I'm actually really bad at this. I'm very quick to send response out at the rapid rate and not think about who I'm being in that moment. And believe it or not, some people kind of think I'm a jerk, which is comical because I feel like I'm a general people lover. But that's just because I'm like logical and direct, and that's hard for some folks. And I need to be more intentional about that. So that's kind of my bottom line, being proactive instead of reactive, but also just like in my responses, proactively thinking about others when I respond and being more intentional about that. So to me, that's good. Well, Dr. Flewellen, I know you just moved and opened a whole new market and you've got a lot going on. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I always love when we can do these together. This was a great show. I think a lot of impact out of this show for a lot of people. All right. So that was the bottom line. If you want to talk about how to take your business from chaos to control, and you want more around those 5 levels of leadership on how to scale your business and install a business operating system and optimize your revenue, we're doing a member-only event in Park City, Utah. If you're interested in potentially coming, click the link. Now, you have to be a player. You have to be flipping houses and doing deals and growing a business. If you're not doing that, there's no reason to apply. If you are doing that and you want to get around people doing that and you want to install a system to turn chaos into control in your business, click the link below. If you're interested in coming, the event dates are July 23rd and 24th, leaving on the 25th. So arrive on the 22nd, event 23rd, 24th, leaving on the 25th in Park City, Utah. If you're a player, we'd love to have you. And if that's not you, just go and leave me a 5-star review and we'll be all good. So thanks for listening. I appreciate all you guys and I hope you got something from this. See you on the next one.